ご存知の方も多いと思います。ご紹介するまでもございませんが、シガールさんは
In the Hollywood world, few clashes capture attention quite like those between Steven Seagal and Nicolas Cage. These two cinematic giants each possess their own unique aura and appeal, which we will be comparing in this video. One of the most striking comparisons between these two actors is their physical attributes. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches with a heavily muscular build, Seagal consistently commands attention on screen. His imposing stature also effectively instills fear in his opponents. This physical advantage would certainly work in Seagal's favor when facing off against Nicolas Cage, who stands at just 6 feet tall. In addition to their physical attributes, the martial arts skills of these two superstars are also a significant factor. As most people know, Steven Seagal, famous for his Aikido style, is a master of this martial art. Seagal's martial arts journey began when he was still a teenager. At that time, Seagal worked as a dishwasher at a restaurant called The Wagon Wheel. Noticing his quick movements, a Japanese Shotokan karate expert, who was the cook at the restaurant, decided to give him basic karate training. This marked the beginning of Seagal's long martial arts journey. In 1964, he began studying Aikido under the guidance of Harry Kiyoshi Ishisaka. By the end of his teenage years, Seagal moved to Japan with his father, who visited the country for military reasons, and they decided to stay there permanently. Not long after, Seagal earned a 7th degree black belt and the title of Shihan in Aikido. This Japanese term is used in various martial arts to honor senior martial arts practitioners. Subsequently, Seagal became the first foreigner in Japan to successfully run an Aikido dojo.
ご存知の方も多いと思います。ご紹介するまでもございませんが、シガールさんは1952年生まれの今年。
Meanwhile, Nicolas Cage, who is not as widely known for his martial arts, has dedicated himself to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a martial art that excels in ground fighting. Cage is a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu and has studied this martial art for many years, under the tutelage of the legendary Jiu-Jitsu master, Royce Gracie. Cage has spent significant time training in martial arts to maintain his physical fitness. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a grappling-based martial art that originated in Brazil. This discipline was developed by the Gracie brothers, who adapted techniques and philosophies from the Japanese martial art of Jiu-Jitsu.
That's yours.
So, what would happen if Steven Seagal and Nicolas Cage applied their respective martial arts skills in a real-world fight? These two film stars have vastly different styles, yet both are equally dangerous. Seagal, with his towering physique and composed movements, assumes the characteristic stance of Aikido. His posture appears relaxed, yet his sharp eyes vigilantly track every movement Cage makes. On the other hand, Nicolas Cage, with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, takes a lower stance, ready with a more aggressive, defensive position. Jiu-Jitsu is all about grappling and ground control, while Seagal's Aikido focuses on redirecting the opponent's energy to lock or throw them. Although such a fight between them has never occurred, we can draw parallels from instances where Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu practitioners have clashed. In this first match, we can see how the Aikido practitioner is repeatedly taken down by the Jiu-Jitsu fighter. In addition to excelling in grappling techniques, the Jiu-Jitsu practitioner also demonstrates exceptional striking speed in the stand-up fight. However, the Aikido fighter is not easily defeated. At one point, he manages to counter with a joint lock technique that successfully brings the black belt BJJ practitioner to the floor. Next, there was an arrogant Aikido practitioner who claimed that his martial art was superior to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He then challenged an MMA fighter with a BJJ background to a fight. However, what transpired in the arena was in stark contrast to his bold claims. Throughout the match, he only attempted to evade the powerful attacks of the MMA fighter, never once launching an attack of his own. The MMA fighter taught him a valuable lesson with a hard takedown to the floor, leaving him in significant pain. Still focusing on the matchup between an MMA fighter with a BJJ background and an Aikido practitioner, this time the MMA fighter had a larger, more muscular build. The two engaged in a clinch for an extended period before the MMA fighter, using his tremendous strength, finally managed to take down the Aikido master. However, this did not have a significant impact on the Aikido master. Despite being pressured on the ground, he executed a necklock that forced the MMA fighter to submit. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu focuses on ground fighting and submission techniques. Although its primary emphasis is on clinch and ground combat, BJJ is still considered a comprehensive self-defense system that includes throws, stand-up fighting techniques, and strategies against weapon attacks and surprise assaults. One of the most fascinating aspects of BJJ is its emphasis on leverage and technique rather than relying on brute strength. A fighter doesn't need to be the biggest or strongest to excel in BJJ. Instead, it's all about using the body as efficiently and effectively as possible. On the other hand, Aikido is a Japanese martial art developed in the early 20th century by Morihei Ueshiba. Aikido focuses on harmonizing with an opponent's energy rather than opposing it directly. Aikido techniques involve circular movements that redirect the opponent's force, using their momentum against them. Aikido practitioners typically avoid direct confrontation, preferring to guide attacks into controlled movements. The techniques in Aikido emphasize efficiency, using minimal physical strength by applying joint locks, throws, and precise strikes. Combat in Aikido often involves manipulating the attacker's joints, such as the wrist, elbow, or shoulder, to incapacitate or unbalance them. To defend themselves, practitioners often deflect attacks by blending with the incoming force and redirecting it through circular movements. This technique focuses on disrupting the opponent's balance, making them vulnerable to being neutralized. Aikido techniques can also be adapted to various combat situations, making it versatile against different types of opponents and in different arenas. Overall, Aikido's philosophy of blending, circular motion, and minimal force sets it apart as a martial art that emphasizes harmony and effective self-defense.